We've been using this word pantheism. Derek, could you maybe just unpack that a little bit for our listeners who maybe have never heard it before or aren't familiar with it?
I'd like to just pitch it to Mike because I
Hot
read
potato.
most I read
Hot
most of
potato.
this in his books. But I mean, in a nutshell, that God and the world are substantially one. That, you know, in theism, there is God. He is eternal. He is perfect. He is self-sustaining, complete in himself, and then he makes something not himself, which is the world, us, you know, the stars, the trees, all these kind of things, and they don't overlap insofar as God isn't at all dependent or affected substantially by what the world is.
There isn't God stuff out there.
Yeah. You're not, you know, when you touch a tree, it's not God. Pantheism, actually, yes. You know, every particle is somehow God. Your internal emotions are often connected with the intuitions of the God within.
That's the pantheism that I come across more than anything else. If you ask a lot of people, do you think that tree is part of God? They'll say, no, of course not. But the way they talk about their innards, you know, my heart, my
Divine spark.
within, the deeper you go inside me, the diviner it gets.
Yeah.
That's deep in our culture.
Right. And so part of growth is just learning to recognize, you know, getting rid of kind of false consciousness or psychological hang-ups to recognize what's really divine within you. And so that's one of the more prevalent forms of kind of psychological pantheism, if we want to call it that. That the spirituality within yourself naturally lines up to some degree with this, and not just lines up, but is God, the Spirit, in that way, versus you know, Christian or Jewish, or Islamic, kind of like, well, there's a very strict line there of God, and then there's all this stuff God made, and then there's communication, but no identification